we take comfort in Dr. King's words again. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it does bend toward justice. As the leader of this state, I believe it is our obligation to help that arc bend toward justice. This bill is a continuation of the work that began when New York began slavery back in 1827. We've had a lot of steps along the way, some backwards, some forwards, many profound failures. But by signing this bill today, I'm authorizing the creation of a commission, a committee to study what reparations might look like in New York. And let's be clear about what reparations means. It doesn't mean fixing the past, undoing what happened. We can't do that. No one can. But it does mean more than giving people a simple apology 150 years later. This bill makes it possible to have a conversation, a reasoned debate about what we want the future to look like. And I can think of nothing more democratic than that. And to those who think that even having this conversation is unfair or wrong, I say it would be wrong not to have it. Because to bend that arc of justice, we have to be willing to talk about the hard things, right? To debate them and argue them. It's all right. We owe it to each other and our fellow New Yorkers to have a candid, good faith conversation. And I don't want to pretend I didn't have some concerns about this. I know many have. But here's what I do know. Anyone thinks that racism and hatred toward blacks no longer exists, tell that to the families of the 10 victims in the grocery store in Tops at the massacre in Buffalo, who once again will be staring at empty chairs over their Christmas dinner. And Crystal Peoples-Stokes, our majority leader from the Assembly, who is here, knows this. It's her district, 10 minutes from where I live. Reverend Ale was there. Many of our leaders came up to try and comfort a community. But that empty chair still exists because of white supremacism is alive and well in this country. And we must be the ones who call it out and stop it.
So this today starts a process of taking the veil off of Northern inequality and saying we must repair the damage, and it can be an example for this nation. And I want to thank not one that comes from the shrewd city of New York with lights and Times Square, and that's so savvy and sophisticated. It took a courageous young white woman from Western New York to say, I'm going to do what all the urban men before me wouldn't do. And we will not forget that. That's why I came. James Saunders and Assemblywoman, you've done us well. And you've made a step in history. I do not know where the commission will go, but I know that history is made because there is a commission and there is a recognition. And sometimes, even if you can't take away the pain and the scar, we gain a lot by being recognized that is due to be repaired.
Mikhail had an extraordinary partner in Senator James Sanders in getting this across the finish line. So it's my pleasure to introduce the Senator from Queens, James Sanders.
All I can say is I'm grateful not to go in back of Reverend Sharpton speaking. I'm very grateful. Reverend Dr. Sharpton, I too know a little bit about what you're talking about. I have 9 stitches in my head from 3 incidents where I just didn't know my place. And I still don't know my place, but I don't want any more. I mean, who do you thank at a time like this? Of course, you'd have to thank God, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank my governor. And Governor, let me tell you this: I will be wherever you need me to go so I can speak to people and tell them what was done here. To our majority leaders, Andrew Stewart Cousins, who has corrected me more ways than I can count, to our Assembly Speaker, to all of my colleagues and everyone up here today. If I don't name you, forgive me. I would be remiss if I did not say that I'm here because my sharecropper father and my domestic worker mother, we fled a tyranny. We fled a terror. We fled an unjust government that was working on terrorism, and I am an immigrant. I'm the first generation. We fled the South. We fled all of those folk who were doing horrible things to us. I feel good when I saw Frederick Douglass downstairs guarding us. I saw good. I know that this is a good place when Frederick Douglass has it. But I want to dedicate this conversation, my brief one, to the people of Seneca Village. Now, we are walking distance from one of those things in American history. Seneca Village was an African-American community. Indeed, it was a mixed community feet from here that in 1853, the New York State Legislature passed a bill saying that they're going to put Central Park up there. The legislature said that we're getting rid of those people. It's the legislature, and the people who did that, the people of the time, the governor was Horatio Seymour, a Democrat. William H. Ludlow, he was the speaker, he was a Democrat. And the temporary Senate president was William McMurray, he was a Democrat. All Democrats who did this. A different type of Democrat, let's be clear. But those people in Seneca Village tried to live a life. They lived a middle-class life. They had more black home ownership. Imagine if we would have let that happen. Imagine if that would have happened in America. They were driven out and forced to go elsewhere and never paid what they should have gotten for theirs. But they were also an integrated community. They had an integrated church that had a little bit of everybody. In 1853, they were more integrated than most of our churches are today on Sunday morning. So I say this, my friends, I say that this one has to be dedicated to them because we sit in the shadows of the Seneca Village, but I actually stand on their shoulders. And this is why I can see the new New York that we're building. A place that's going to be greater than it was before. The new New York, I can see it arising, a place where the color of your skin is no more important than the color of your eyes. A place where you'll be judged by the content of your character and not by your melanin. The new New York that our governor has been bold enough to make us walk towards. This day belongs to the people of Seneca and the Senecas throughout the U.S. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of Senecas in all of them. So every time that we say that, Seneca Village, rather, is a metaphor for America. And just as those Democrats put us in this hole to some degree, 3 Democrats are taking us out of this hole. 170 years later, our Democratic governor, Kathy Hochul, our Democratic majority leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins, and our Democratic speaker, Carl Hastie, are undoing the damage that was done before. I am very proud to serve with such people. I am very proud that we are going to dedicate this. I'm also proud that my son is in the audience watching this. Anthony, so on behalf of my sharecropper mother, my father, and my domestic mother, who they took my father out of school in the 3rd grade so he could make other people rich. But he never had malice. He never was angry. He never was wanting any type of revenge. All he wanted was a chance of equality. And that's what we're fighting for today, the equality of opportunity. Just everybody at the same place, same starting field. Thank you for doing that. And I could not do this alone. Get ready. I could not do this alone. I had to have a partner in government, somebody so dynamic that she could take all of the hits that she had to take and still keep on going. And I'm talking about Assemblywoman Mikhail Silages.
And I thank everyone because this is a very emotional day for myself. And I want to extend the deepest gratitude to every person that played a role in bringing this shared vision and fruition. To Speaker Hasty, thank you so much for convening us. For Majority Leader Andrew Stewart-Cousin, thank you for your work. To the governor and her team, her amazing team, thank you for believing in this dream. I also want to thank the members of the Black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Asian Caucus. If we can have them stand. We would not be here without the strength of each and every one of these individuals. And especially to Senator Brisport, my initial partner, and Senator James Sanders. It sometimes takes 2 to get to the finish line. To Eljoy, who was on the ground, and NAACP. Yeah. To the December 12th movement, to NCROBRA, Dr. Ron Daniels, Moral Compass. To the executive director of the caucus, I want to give a shout out to Joshua Joseph. There's many times I wanted to give up on this bill, but he kept us going. And I do want to acknowledge former Assemblymember Charles Barron, who started and propelled this conversation of reparations. And to those individuals that came before us, like Queen Mother Moore, who is the mother of the modern day reparation, thank you. So whether you offered your time, your expertise, your knowledge, your listening ear, it has all made a major impact in this conversation. So to my fellow advocates for justice, let us heed the call and listen to the echoes that ring in the corridor of history. Let us listen to the epidemiologists like Aaron Mayer right here of the Adirondack Council, who says that the generational trauma still exists today and we need to solve it. Let us declare this moment that it's not just a dream deferred, but a promise fulfilled.